Today we're going to be reading and discussing Chapter 5 of The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, called The Truth That Sets You Free. As usual, these concepts and these understandings are my experiences, and they're in no way an attempt to tell you this is how it is and this is how it should be, blah, 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 blah. No. These are my experiences and my dabblings in the laws of creation, the laws of manifestation, the fundamental understandings, at least for me, that help me better understand how my mind and my body, my action, my emotion is connected to and a causality of my life experiences and vice versa. At the end of the day, my mission is to decode the human experience, and hopefully we can do that together. So let's get started today. Chapter 5, The Truth That Sets You Free. The drama of life is a psychological one in which all the conditions, circumstances, and events of your life are brought to pass by your assumptions. Since your life is determined by your assumptions, you're forced to recognize the fact that you are either a slave to your assumptions or their master. To become the master of your emotions is the key to undreamed of freedom and happiness. You can attain this mastery by deliberate, conscious control of your imagination. You determine your assumptions in this way. You form a mental image, a picture of a state desired, of the person you want to be. Concentrate your attention upon the feeling that you are already that person. First, visualize the picture in your consciousness. Then feel yourself to be in that state as though it were actually formed in your surrounding world. By your imagination, that which was just a mere mental image is changed into a seemingly solid reality. The great secret is controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the subject or object to be accomplished. It cannot be emphasized too much that by creating an ideal within your mental sphere, by assuming that you are already that ideal, you identify yourself with it and thereby transform yourself into its image. This was called by the ancient teachers subjection to the will of God, or resting in the Lord. And the only true test of resting in the Lord is that all who do rest are inevitably transformed into the image of that in which they rest. You become according to your resigned will, and your resigned will is your concept of yourself and all that you consent to and accept as true. You, assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continuing therein, take upon yourself the results of that state. Not assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are ever free of the results. When you understand the redemptive function of imagination, you hold in your hands the key to the solution of all your problems. Every phase of your life is made by the exercise of your imagination. Determined imagination alone is the means of your progress, of the fulfilling of your dreams. It is the beginning and end of all creating. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. What greater gifts could be given us than to be told the truth that will set us free? The truth that sets you free is that you can experience in imagination what you desire to experience in reality, and by maintaining this experience in imagination, your desire will become an actuality. You are limited only by your uncontrolled imagination and lack of attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And when the imagination is not controlled and the attention not steadied on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, then no amount of prayer or piety or invocation will produce the desired effect. When you can call up at will whatsoever image you please, when the forms of your imagination are as vivid to you as the forms of nature, you are the master of your fate. It's a good chapter. Straight to the point. This is what I love about Neville. Neville will not beat around the bush that your imagination is the redemptive power of your life. And that's what I love about it. He's not going to try and get you to believe in this and that and the other. It's all about you. It's all about understanding that you are a manifestation of God or infinite consciousness, whatever you'd like to call it, fully and 100%. And because of this, there is nothing in you that is not God. You are truly infinite in nature, in imagination, And if you notice, if you've been noticing, if this podcast has inspired you to notice, or if this is just your first episode, your imaginings, your dominant imaginings, always become your world. You know, if you're frequently imagining arguments with your significant other, the chances are you're having a lot of arguments. And if you want to see really what you're imagining, take a look at circumstances that are repeating themselves over and over and over again. Our little arguments that we have within ourselves about the people that we love or whoever actually become reality. They do. They always become reality. Maybe not every single one. And I'm not going to say every single one. But I will say the dominant emotion behind those inward conversations become your circumstances, the people that come into your life. The truth is we can absolutely consciously change the trajectory of our lives by disciplining our imagination, by choosing to focus on a new sphere of being. Because the thing is, here's the thing, and I've said this before, people will come to me and they'll say, oh, I knew that was going to happen. And I say, of course you did. And they look at me and they're just like, what? What do you mean? I said, of course you did. You knew that was going to happen deep down. So I said, what did you know? Well, I just had this feeling. I just had this feeling in my gut. Yeah. You did. Deep down, you knew. You knew it was going to happen. So of course it happens. Why would anything else happen to the contrary? I know that's going to happen. And this is the amazing thing. This is the really amazing thing, is that we can begin to shift our entire life by shifting our emotional focus, our states of consciousness. This is the beautiful power that is inherent in every single human, is that by shifting your focus, you can literally shift your world. Because as you start shifting your focus, if you're a really negative person and you're constantly focusing on how things suck and you have that impending doom feeling in your chest, well, guess what, dude? That's going to become a big part of your life. That is a big part of your life. Things always suck and things always happen that are results of or the objectifications of that pitting doom anxiety, right? And so the people, this is a Jim Rohn quote, we become like the people, or maybe Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, somebody, we become the average of the 5 people. We are the average of the 5 people we spend our time around with the most, right? Why? Because the 5 people we listen to and receive influence from the most affect our beliefs. People that we love and are really close to and care about, it's a weird relationship because sometimes we do not allow these people to even get close to our beliefs, but sometimes, in fact, most of the time, we believe the same things as the people we're around the most. So naturally, if the law is that my beliefs, my emotionally charged dominant beliefs become the substance of my life, then, well, by changing my emotional charge, changing my dominant emotional state of being, my dominant focus, I can literally change my life. But it's never going to happen, or that change that we want is not going to happen by some random chance. Success is not some random chance. Coming into a shit ton of money is not by chance. Sure, some people may win the lottery, that's great, but the truth is, I think it's like 99% of people that win the lottery lose their money in a couple of years. Why? Because they didn't have the habits, they didn't know how to handle money, they're not smart about money. But the truth is, all the habits they had and the beliefs they had before they even came into money, those didn't change, because money doesn't change who you are, it only amplifies who you've always been. So coming into money, a shit ton of money, is the result, the byproduct of a prepared state of consciousness. Right? A king comes into a city. Is he going to come in on the dirtiest town, on the dirtiest streets, and the shittiest cars? No, absolutely not. So why? Something that you strongly desire, why would it just come into your life? When you have beliefs that are self-sacrificing, codependent, full of insecurity, it wouldn't. And this is okay. This is nothing to be judged. If you carry those beliefs, please, there's nothing there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a truth that we all deal with at some point. I dealt with crippling self-sabotage for so many years. And I'm never going to say it was somebody else's fault. Sure, I could say, I was raped as a kid, or I was, and that's why I'm like this, but I'm not going to give that power away. I'm not going to give somebody else the luxury of telling me what I can and cannot do with my life. And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't. And when you are in a dominant state of being that reflects the person you want to be, you'll find that life becomes easy. Flow is natural. But as long as you're emotionally, conceptually living from a place of lack where the world sucks and there's not enough, you're never not going to experience anything but that. Because the truth is, the world is absolutely wonderful. And the world, right now in the world, everything you want currently exists. It may not be in the actual form that you want it to be. It may be in its raw organic material form, but it's there. That's the truth. This world is abundant. There is so much goodness here. You deserve a wonderful life, full of success, full of wealth and health and beauty and glory and awe and wonder. You deserve all of that. And the only reason why you don't have any of it, whether some of it, all of it, one of it, is because you don't believe you are it. See, we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. We attract whatever our resigned will is, right? Just like Neville says. We attract our resigned will, which is what we believe about ourselves totally in a non-emotionally charged state. Because that charges our emotions. The truth that sets you free is that you can experience in imagination what you desire to experience in reality. And by maintaining this experience in imagination, your desire will become an actuality. The first time I started to experience this, I was a heavily religious Christian. I was a youth pastor at the time in Omaha, Nebraska. And I was a youth pastor at an all-Spanish church. And it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. But the thing was, this church didn't ever pay me enough to make my bills. In fact, it was rarely. It really was. And that was okay, because to me, in my mind, I was doing this thing for God. And I knew deep down, and I saw this happen over and over again, if I could just for a couple of seconds slip into the belief that what I wanted had already happened, it would happen some way, somehow, right? So obviously, not being paid enough, I couldn't make my rent quite a bit. But I did know every single month, for whatever reason, the why is irrelevant, because I could have made the why anything. But I knew that if I could simply believe, fully believe with my entire body for a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes that what I wanted, which in this case was money to pay my bills and get food, I already had, well, I knew it would happen, and I could walk in faith in the knowing that it was going to happen, that deep knowing. Every single time it happened. Every single time I was short, it happened. Every single time there's a perceived lack. Everything's always good. Everything is always good for me. And that is the most amazing thing, because a couple of years ago, that wasn't the case. A couple of years ago is when I started experimenting with this stuff, but a large part of me still had very shitty self-concepts and ideas. And, if I started going into them, you'd probably trip. But I love how he says that the great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, okay? The great secret is a controlled imagination. So my question for you, how in control of you How in control of your imagination are you? How often would you say, honestly, and you don't have to say it out loud, you don't need to write it down, you don't even need to tell me. How often would you say you're in conscious control of these scenarios that are flying through your head at the speed of light? You may say none, you may say a lot. Well, that's awesome if it is. If not, the great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention. A well-sustained attention. And that's the most amazing thing. In our society, attention, dang, dude, attention is one of the most valued currencies on social media. Attention. What kind of attention can you get? Because in a lot of ways, attention means popularity. Attention means virality. Attention means possible, contracts and record deals and, whatever. There's a ton of people today that are uber famous that have done things simply for attention, right? Attention. And they've become rock stars. Catch me outside. How about that? Right? Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil turned rap star, I think she signed to Atlantic or Columbia Records, one of the two. I don't know. But a sustained attention. How long can you think about a thing and focus on it before your mind breaks? It almost feels like a break and it focuses on something else. This is super important because the great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So repeatedly, because the truth is our attention is going to be broken by things, by mandatory responsibilities. But that great secret to creating your circumstances consciously is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention that is repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So it doesn't matter if you leave the state. It matters if you come back, and it matters coming back repeatedly and with discipline, with hard attention, right? Your job is to just come back to the feeling of the wish fulfilled over and over and over again, because it is your dominant state of consciousness that manifests in this world. Your dominant state of being, what you accept to be true. It's always manifesting in this world. So if you want to create something new for yourself, you have to learn to feel something to be possible or true or real, even if you can't physically see it with your eyes. And the truth is, you've already been doing that your whole life. Like we talked about earlier, those mental arguments, they can feel as real ones. They definitely evoke the emotions in us. When we're pissed at somebody and we're thinking in our mind, we've created a scenario and we've dude, and a couple minutes into it, we're really angry and we're upset. How is that any less real? Our bodies are biologically being affected by our emotions, whether we're responding to something in our minds or responding to something in real life. And this is science. Our bodies are actually changing. The chemistry is actually shifting due to our emotions, intense emotions. Whether we are responding to something seemingly imaginal or not. That's the amazing thing, because your subconscious mind does not care. It doesn't care whether a thing is real or not. Whether it's in the world or not. Because real or not it doesn't even make sense when you're starting to see things through this context. The subconscious mind cares about emotional intensity. This is where manifestations roots itself, in that subconscious mind. So my question is, what is your emotional dominance? Emotional dominance. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly, repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. So the second part here is having an idea fill the mind and crowding all other ideas out of consciousness. When you are at a concert and you're really enjoying the music, that sensation is really the only thing in your mind. You're not thinking about home, you're not thinking about this, that, the other. So a lot of people love music festivals because they help them just let go, right? But even when we've let go, we are allowing our mind to be filled with one thing, whether this emotion is bliss, whether it's, happiness, joy. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. But when that feeling is there, we've crowded all other ideas out. And this is how real this has to become for you. Your desire has to become literally as real to you as it would be as if it was actually here, now. It has to become so vivid in your nervous system. And this is done through controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention that is firmly and repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Coming back to that feeling, your responsibility is to come back to that feeling, because the truth is there are so many more things in play in your life that you have no idea about. Absolutely zero. So instead of trying to respond the way that this person told you to respond or this way, you can choose to assign new meaning. You can choose to feel new ways. You can choose to believe that something is true. And the truth is, at least for me and everybody that's ever put this concept to the test, that anything that you desire, if you can believe that it is yours, it'll be given to you somehow, some way. And your responsibility is not to know the way. Your responsibility is to live as though it were true now. Doesn't mean you go empty your bank account. Doesn't mean you go broke. It means you feel and think and act as if the thing were true now. When I wanted a relationship with very specific qualities, I got more adamant about making that real than I ever had. And within 30 days, I manifested that relationship. It's the same thing when I wanted to start a company. I got more adamant about anything else than I had about than I did about that company. And within a couple weeks, I met my business partner, and we're doing amazing things today. The truth is, you becoming self-persuaded of a matter is the only factor in this thing coming true. No man in the world, I don't care what his authority is, can stop a person who is self-persuaded and fully enveloped into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, surrendered in a way that the moth always surrenders its body to the light. There is no force here. The law of least action is in play. This doesn't mean you don't take action. I love taking action. Taking action is absolutely amazing. But I always take action from a place of my wish being fulfilled before I do anything, especially in relation to business. And that's why my closing rates are so high. We sell $2,000, $5,000, and $10,000 products, and my closing rates are 95%. I mean, sure, I know how to sell, but, ultimately, before I even go into a call, I get into my wish fulfilled. I assume the sale is already made. And you can apply this to any objective in life and start to really see some wonderful things. It's good stuff here. Good stuff. I'm not really feeling anything else, so I'm not going to try and go further, but I would encourage you. I hope this podcast encourages you to become more aware, more interested, more concerned with what you're feeling to be true on a regular basis. I hope this podcast encourages you to observe how you are the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. I hope that this podcast gives you everything that you ever want. I'm living a really wonderful life right now, and I attribute it to understanding these concepts, and that alone. I believe that knowledge and the ability to be intellectual is all fluid. You can be as smart as you want to be, or you can be as dumb as you want to be. You can be as rich as you want to be, or you can be as poor as you want to be, and you can be as sick as you want to be, or you can be as healthy as you want to be. But whatever you want to be, you must be it emotionally, mentally, fully. And as you do that, you will see it come to pass in the world of Caesar. Always, this is the law. It cannot be changed.